Welcome to the Retro Auto channel. Today I'm going to do a little video on looking for a project. I'm going to show you some of the stuff I have sitting around my yard to kind of give you some pointers as to what to look for, what to avoid maybe, depending on what state you're in. But the most important thing, and it's often overlooked by people, is knowing what you're after before you even start. Like the old saying goes, knowledge is power. So you have to know, what you're looking for, and you know what you're looking for based on what you want the end result to be. You're looking for a cruiser, you're looking for just a show and shine thing that you can take out every once in a while. You're looking for something that's car show only kind of stuff when it's all done. So, but don't pigeonhole yourself into just one thing or one era, one kind of car, one kind of drivetrain, whatever it happens to be. Have a couple different options. That way, if you find something that fits one of those things, well, maybe you can go after that one, and while you're working on that, you can kind of keep casually looking for the other thing. Or if you only want one, because you only have one open slot in your garage, well then that's what you get. And this video is intended for the novice to the, I don't want to say semi-pro, but getting to that point where you've maybe done a couple, but you want to keep going with the hobby. And if you have never done a project like a major project before, then this video isn't completely for you. It's a good guide, but then I would encourage you to go find someone, your neighbor friend, your neighbor's friend, whatever the case is, that has done a few older cars, and that's true. If you've never done it before, this is a very expensive hobby, or can be, and you don't want to get burned. So if you've never done it before, find someone to give you a hand. So, all right, now I'm going to walk around. I'm going to show you some of the vehicles that, I'm not going to point out everything as if it was. I'm going to point out kind of the major things to look for different types, from very, very major, very, very obvious, to ones that are actually pretty stinking nice. And the kind of things to look for when you're looking at stuff. And if I've mentioned it earlier for one of the other ones, it kind of applies to everything else. I'm just not going to go over everything every time. It's going to hit the highlights, show you what's good and bad about a project similar to that, and then it's ultimately it's up to you, because you're the one writing the check. So, all right, let's take a look. Okay, we're going to start with the major project that's obvious. It's obvious it's a major project. None of the body panels line up, or they're all different colors, which is what we have here. It's in rough shape. There's been a lot of work done to it previously. This one you can look at. Like I say, it's obvious. It needs everything. This is a major project. This is not for the lighthearted. But the things to look for on something like this, okay, what makes it special? What makes it worth the effort? Well, in this particular case, this is a 1976 Dodge Ram Charger SE with a 400 and a 4-speed. Now, for you Mopar fans, anything with a 400 and an automatic or a manual transmission is kind of unusual, and it has its own level of, specialness. So that makes it kind of cool right there. And if we looked inside, we can see things like, oh, it's got air conditioning. It's got the fancy dash. Well, yeah, it's an SE, so it would. So in the end, if you has all the pieces, it's even got pedal dress up, which is very unusual for a pickup. So, stuff like that. If the end result is something special and something unique, have at it. Now, there's other things to look for on something like this that obviously has been rode hard. You're gonna want to crawl underneath and look at the frame, see if there's any damage like that, see if there's any suspension damage. This one is very tough to see, especially where I have it parked right now. It sits crooked. I know why it does that, and I'll show you something. It's kind of impressive in its own way. So, two owners before me, they're a cattle chasing truck. So, and they lost track of where they were one night and went over a 4-foot drop. So you can kind of see right in that area, the frame is bent because the thing bottomed out so hard, you know, it pushed up on the frame right there. And actually, there's another dent or wrinkle right there. So, and then you can also see how close that spring is to the frame itself. So, you'd probably, I mean, that's not bad frame damage, but since you're gonna, this would obviously be a frame off or a body off. Well, maybe it needs a frame too. Again, you have to decide, is it worth the effort? Or can you find parts? Maybe you can find another one that's decent body panels and but has no engine or drivetrain or something like that that you can buy cheap, and then you've got a really good parts vehicle. And if we looked underneath the hood, we'd also see most of the AC components and some of the other things that make it special, some of the options that aren't normally there, or I should say options that aren't normally on some of these. So major project, needs a lot of stuff, end result might be very, very neat, a little unusual, you know, it's a judgment call. So this, like I say, it's pretty obvious, you know, don't look at the big things, look for like other things that might be hidden. Okay, all right, we have, this is actually what is it, a 69 Rambler, 2-door hardtop, or not hardtop, 2-door sedan. It'd be awesome if it was a hardtop. Straight 6 automatic. See, now this is the kind of thing, because it's white, will look really good on some internet ad or on Craigslist, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, whatever, you know. It look really good. It won't look as bad as it is. That's why you have to go look at these, or if it's a long ways away, you better find someone you can trust who's close, that's willing to go take a look, because this is a major project. It doesn't look like it, you know, especially in pictures or from a distance. Unlike the first one I looked at, that's a big project, easy to see. So how do we know it's a big project? Well, we start walking around and we can see, well, it's been worked on, it's been painted. That's easy enough to see that we got a little bit of something going on there, a little something here too. Must be common because it's the same way on the other side with that fender. You know, we can see the fillers flaking out, and I know it's not going to show in the video. That's why you have to look at it. You can see a seam that runs right there where someone put a patch in it, and you can just tap on it. You know, that sounds more like a wooden door than it does a body panel. Up here, metal, filler. Other side's the same way. Actually worse in a way, because got a whole bunch of filler cracking out. Well, why is it cracking, you know? Was it maybe old collision damage? If this is all you could see, let's pretend that game. You know, was it old collision damage, or is it a poorly done repair? You know what, that's why you see one thing like this, you got to keep looking, because you don't know what else might be there. There's always surprises, no matter how perfect a car is. You know, even if, oh, it's a Survivor, never been touched, you'll find something. So again, here's some more of that stuff. So then the question always becomes, well, is it worth the effort you would put into it? Well, this is a 6-cylinder. It's like a 170 or a 190. So it's a really small 6-cylinder automatic, not super desirable that way. But it's the same body style. I think they used the Rogue on, and I don't think they had, I don't know if Mark Donahue did anything like this. I'm not a big AMC guy, so, but one thing that does make it really nice is this absolutely gorgeous blue interior. I mean, it's in nice shape. Even the headliner, and it's weird because it's got this, I don't know, like textured look to it. It's really cool. AMC did a lot of awesome things like that. They were willing to try a little different things and see how they turned out. Like to say the seats are nice. They're not wearing, of course, the dash pad is all cracked, but you know, it's 50 some years old too. And like I say, you know, the interior is nice. The rubber floor mat isn't even bad. So you've got benefits like that that maybe outweigh some of the other things. This would not be, because you don't know what's underneath that paint. That's the problem. Like with the other major project, you know exactly what you're getting because nothing's being hidden. This, just because it's been worked on, you don't know. So this would be a major project I would advise to not get for someone as a novice, unless you're an AMC guy, you got a bunch of AMC friends, you know everything about these. But maybe it's a good project, a good first car, because cosmetically, you know, it's a little bit ugly, but it's livable. You know, a little wax on it, and it'd probably shine up pretty nice. So it might be a good project. Fix the mechanical. Don't worry too much about the body, and just drive it till you find something better. And this, like I say, might be a good interim car. Might make a nice driver. I've heard these things get 30 miles to the gallon with that 6-cylinder. If you keep it underneath 65, you go over 65, you're getting like 12. I mean, they have a very finite little place where they run nice. But again, you know, that's neither here nor there. This is a major project. It doesn't look like it until you start getting close and investigating. And again, with something like this, you want to get underneath, look at stuff, see if there's any rust under the see if there's rust in the floor pans, the trunk, and stuff like that, you know. So again, major project, doesn't look it. Be very wary of some of these, because this will look pretty dang nice on the internet. Okay, we went from major project to looks like a major project, but probably isn't. So it's obviously got some rust. You can see the box looks completely shot, which it is. Tailgate's pretty rough. Rear bumper's got a big ding in it. And yep, this box side is shot too, so the box is shot. But the front doesn't look that bad. So if we did more investigating on this, we'd find out that, you know, as far as the rust goes, radiator support is beautiful. You've got two fenders that are really nice. This door has been worked on, and it's got some patching needed. The box, of course, is shot. Well, the floor is bad. You can buy floor panels. You know, as bad as this looks, it's actually a relatively easy project, because if you can find a box, you've fixed about 75% of all the problems. Again, like I say, the rocker panel on this side is good. You need a small patch on this fender. This door is fine. So rust wise, it's an easy fix. Trim wise, start looking at trim, because there's a lot of trim on this truck. Well, obviously this one is shot, this one is shot, you know, but you start looking at all the rest. Oh, you got some on the tailgate. Those are getting a little rough too. And there's a little ding here, you know. That would be, you know, ding that out. You could probably survive, or get that to survive until you found a better one. But this trim is good. The upper trim is good. That trim is good. All this trim, most of all of this trim is pretty good. So that always helps. You know, the grill is not in bad shape. It's actually in pretty nice shape. It's got a few dings in it, and you know, usually typically on these Dodges they get the edges beat up because that's damn near the widest part of the truck. There's not a ton of aftermarket support for these, but there's some. So like that rear bumper, you can get a replacement rear bumper, that style, or you can just put a regular step bumper on, you know. So, and you do some other checking on it, you find out what other options it has, and you realize, okay, well, yep, there's been some work done, obviously. It's a work truck. So this, for as bad as it looks, is actually not a bad project, really. I mean, like I say, the hardest part will be finding a box. Floor pans are easy to get a hold of, you know. As long as you know where to find some parts, have some friends, get online, check out some of that kind of stuff, you know, get on some of these forums. Doesn't matter what you're looking for, there's a forum out there for it. There's a bunch of people that like it. Sometimes there's bunches of bunches, but like I say, looks like a major project, actually isn't really quite as bad as it appears. It's just ugly. But something else that I'll mention. See now, you can see if it shows up in the video. Okay, the hood color and the fender color. See, there's like surface rust underneath the paint, because it's like this fender's been painted before, because the color doesn't quite match from here to there, and you got this weird rust. And down here, same way, doesn't quite match. It's a little different color. Oh, then you see, you've got some little bit of body filler here and there, and it's been worked on. The door's been worked on. So then you wonder, why is that fender so nice? Well, maybe it's been replaced. Look for things like that. Paint match that over the years isn't, it fades at different rates versus, especially from what I would assume is factory here to probably being replaced here. It fades at different rates, and that starts showing up really obvious after a while. So things like that, does the paint match from every body panel to, that's one way to see if something's been worked on. Or maybe it was a used, or maybe they got lucky to find a used fender, right colors, they threw it on. It'd be the same way. Well, let's take a look here. See, now this fits a little weird. It shouldn't fit like that. So something's been done with this fender, because it doesn't fit. Maybe this fender is an aftermarket fender. I'll show you what it probably should fit like. It's this fender, because now here you can see the color is the same from hood to fender, fender to door. So this is about how they should fit. The other side fits funky. So if you see something like that, you gotta also wonder what else maybe happened. Well, then open up the hood, crawl underneath, look at the wheel well, yada yada yada. Figure out why that has been replaced. And maybe there's no evidence of it. It could have been something that just affected the fender and the door, and that was it. It could have been something that affected the frame too. Do a little checking. So I think that's about all on this one. Looks like a major project, really isn't. Okay, so our last vehicle to kind of look at, to get some pointers from, is the obvious easy project. And of course, easy is all relative. It's clean, it's straight, and it's for sale. That's the kind of thing you end up coming across. It looks like what you want, or maybe it's your second option, whatever. Okay, so this one has very little rust, almost no dents. So what else are we going to look for on something that has not been abused much? Maybe it's the typical, quote, barn find. Well, let's look at things like body fitment. How do the doors fit? How do the body panels line up? So we've got, that's pretty even. You start looking at how your gaps are. Well, this one, what's going on there? Oops. You got a little rust right there. The door is touching. And you see that, okay? Your body line isn't quite the same. Why is that? Well, we can hear it actually when we open the door, and we can feel it too. The hinge is just worn, so it drops. Okay, no big deal. That's not a problem. Well, we can look at this. You see this line, this line here should just flow right into this line here of the fender. It doesn't. The fender's pushed back a little bit. Why is that? Did they just put it together a little bit wrong at the factory? Did it get hit and the thing got slid back? That might be, because you can kind of see where the fender maybe was a little higher. So you see little things like that, oh, it's just a little misalignment. Well, do a little more checking, and here we can see, we'll see, if the hood sits really low over here on this side, and you look on the other side, same thing. Why is that? Well, we find out, I'm not going to open the hood now, but the engine's been taken out, and you can actually see on the hood hinges where they marked to put the bolts back in and didn't get it quite in the right spot. Okay, big deal. That misalignment is solved. It doesn't matter, because that's a really quick, simple adjustment to make that fit right. So let's come over here and check out the body lines on this side. Okay, here you can kind of see what I was talking about before. This flows right into that edge of that body line a lot smoother. You know, compare one side to the other if something looks a little funny. Now this, the door is maybe just a little bit out. It stands a little proud. Well, why is that? Well, is it just because it's out of adjustment, or has the door been hit or bent? You know, I don't see any other obvious signs of it. So I think, and you can kind of see here, it sticks out a little bit. I think it's just out of adjustment. A little tweak here, a little tweak there, and I think the door will fit just fine. But again, you know, open it up, feel the hinges, you know, see if anything looks bad, out of place. You know, there you go. Now here's something that I noticed loading it. You know, talking about body panels and lining up. So here we have this line is a good solid 3/4 of an inch, almost an inch off of what the box is. Well, I'm not going to crawl underneath in and show you, but for some reason there's a stack of shims between the box and the frame where it's bolted on. I have no idea why. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know if they screwed up at the factory, they just had a stack there and somebody was lazy and they just threw them in there and figured, you know what, this is a government truck, they're not going to care. Or if the box was off for some reason, or, you know, I don't know. I have no idea why. But I see that, I figure out why it's way out of alignment. Well, just take the shims out and that's going to solve the problem. So that's the big thing on a really nice one, is you start looking at body panel alignment and you can see if there's other things. Is it as truly unmolested as they say, you know, based off of that? Now some of these other major projects, or like the work truck that's been hammered on all of its life, you don't expect a lot of body panel, you know, body panels that aren't all messed up or stuff. You just expect that because it's worked hard. Like I said, this is an easy project. Again, relative term, but you know, it is. You know, the major part, or the thing I would look for most on something like this, again, like just like what I showed you, the body panel lining alignments, you know, because that is indication of other things. And if all of that's okay, or it's easily explained, like the door hinges wore, the hood's been off because the engine and tranny is out, you know, easy to understand why they're not lined up. If you have something that lined up misaligned and there's no obvious reason why, well, then you gotta, you know, look a little deeper, you know, try to figure it out. And maybe sometimes just things just wear, you know, something wasn't completely tight at the factory, it just kind of worked its way out of alignment over the years. You know, that stuff happens. One other thing to mention quick on this one, like if they've pulled the drivetrain out of something, you know, check the wires. If you intend to put something back in there like what came out of there, you know, check that. You know, look for, you know, brake lines that have been, you know, potentially hit or broken or smashed. All the wires are there. They didn't just, you know, side cutter the thing out. You know, little things like that can be very frustrating to fix or to deal with later. So I think that's about all that I can mention with something like this. You know, like I say, it's really straightforward how clean it is. So then you look for the little things. That way you know just how good of a project you're getting into, how much you're going to brag to your friends about it. So that is all I think I have to say about this one. Well, that's about it. Hopefully this helps. When I get into my next project, I'll actually do a video on how to start a project, a major one. But again, just want to reiterate the thing, knowledge is power. You have to know what you want, know what you're looking at too. If you're looking at a car that you've never looked at before, take somebody along with you that knows them. I know these Dodge pickups upside down and backwards. That AMC I showed you, I don't know diddly about AMC hardly. So I wouldn't look at that by myself unless it was cheap to free. You just need to know what you're doing. what you're looking at. And if you don't know, ask somebody, find a friend who knows more about them, and go out there and have fun. That's the big thing. Enjoy it. Because if you don't enjoy it, then nothing goes right. So that's all, and I will hopefully see you in a couple of weeks.